Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Today I'll be taking you through a review how to play of Hearthstone, because it's come to my attention that a few of my viewers don't actually know how to play this game. So first things first, I'll just go to my collection and I'll show you some cards and explain what they do. If you've played Magic the Gathering, this system should seem pretty similar to you. Okay, so let's go neutral page. Alright, so this here, these are all creatures. You can tell they're creatures because they have an attack value and a health value. Now when a minion fights another minion, these are called minions or creatures, it will deal its damage to, let's say this Goldshy Footman's is fighting this Elf Archer. It will deal its damage to Goldshy Footman's health, dropping Goldshy Footman to 1, and then he will deal his 1 damage to the Elven Archer, which will kill the Elven Archer, leaving the Goldshy Footman alive. Health doesn't come back in this game, like creature health, unless you use a healing ability, so I guess that takes a bit of getting used to if you've played Magic the Gathering. In the top left hand corner it has their cost. So these all have mana costs of 1, because this is the 1 section, but if I skip through some pages, I can get up to 7. There's higher than 7 even. And you'll notice that the creatures that cost 7 will have more attack, more health. Generally a pretty cool ability, so your other minions have +1 health and +1 attack. So that's a permanent ability. Seems pretty self-explanatory. There's all a number of creatures that you can choose from. The other thing that might seem a little strange if you have played Magic the Gathering, or if you haven't, is you have to pick your character. Now your character will have a special ability, if you can see over here. No, I can't really point to it, but that Steady Shot costs 2 mana. You can use it any time in your turn, but only once a turn, so this deals 2 damage to the enemy hero. So heroes start the game with 30 health, the objective is to drop them to 0 health. So Steady Shot is a pretty good ability, but all the characters have different abilities, and all the characters have access to a different list of cards, so the hunter gets these nice green looking cards like the Timberwolf. Your other beasts have +1 attack. It's a bit hard to see that because it's already in my deck. But so yeah, Timberwolf there, so he costs 1 mana in the top left corner, 1 attack, and 1 health. So he's a sort of early game creature. You start the game with 1 mana. You get 1 mana each turn. It is cumulative, so the first turn you'll have 1 mana, so you can play a total of 1 mana worth of creatures. Second turn you'll have 2 mana, so you can play, a 2 cost creature or 2 1 cost cards. And then you get 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, up to 10. And that's how the game works. So if you've played Magic, then it's like you get a free land a turn. You don't have to put any in your deck. Your deck size is 30 cards, and I guess if you took the lands out of a Magic deck, your deck would be a lot smaller. It's not just creatures, there are spells, or spells that make creatures in this case. So Unleash the Hounds cost 2 for each enemy minion, so creature, or summon a 1/1 hound with charge. Now like Magic, this uses a sort of summoning sickness mechanic. When you first play a creature, it can't attack till next turn. Charge will ignore that, so I could get a bunch of 1/1 hounds with this card and attack immediately with them, whereas an Acidic Swamp Ooze does not have charge. Instead it has Battle Cry. So what Battle Cry means is when this card lands on the field, you activate its effect and then that effect is gone. So Acidic Swamp Ooze will destroy the opponent's weapon. You can give weapons to your characters, I'll get to that in a bit. So this would destroy the weapon. However, if my Swamp Ooze was on the field already and they played a weapon, this wouldn't destroy the opponent's weapon unless I played another Swamp Ooze while they had that weapon. Timberwolf, however, doesn't mention anything about a battle cry, so this effect is permanent, so I can play beasts later and they'll get this effect. You'll notice that at the bottom of the card, some cards have beast or dragon, basically it's just other cards will interact with them different ways depending on what their little type is at the bottom of the card. Acidic Swamp Ooze doesn't have a type, so it's not going to be affected by Timberwolf. Starving Buzzard, when you play a beast, draw a card, and so that costs 2 mana, has 2 attack and 1 health. This is a cool thing that this game does better than a tabletop card game would. This card, like, it costs 3 mana and you summon a random beast companion. I think there's 3 or 4 beasts it can wind up summoning, but it'll randomly pick one and then that card will come out. For example, in a tabletop game, you would need one of each of these cards, well, 2 of each of the different cards it could turn into, and you'd need some mechanic for randomly picking one, so I guess like a dice roll mechanic would work in this instance, but if it was summon a random card out of a pool of 10 cards or something, it gets a bit more tricky, and so it works really well on computer and in Hearthstone, but on the tabletop, yeah, it might not work so well. Yeah, so Taunt is another ability that's not self-explanatory. When this card is on the field, if the enemy declares an attack, they have to attack the taunt creature first. So it's good at protecting your life or protecting a weak minion, like let's say I had a Timberwolf buffing up all my beasts and I didn't want it to just get attacked. You can attack your opponent's creatures. I would play a Shieldmaster, so they would have to attack the Shieldmaster first and keep my wolf alive. Another creature gives all your beasts charge, which is huge. Another taunt, so he will protect all my other creatures, no ability there, and all my creatures get +1 attack, +1 health. So this is my Hunter deck. It's by no means complete, it's just sort of starting Hunter deck, but it does the job. And so different characters have obviously different card pools. So my mage has a lot of spells. It's strange that it doesn't show spell where on the other cards it shows beast, normally it shows spell. So there are certain cards that make spells cheaper or gain bonuses. So yeah, just more taunt. Death Rattle, so when the creature dies it activates its ability, that's what Death Rattle means. So this guy comes out costing 1 with 2 attack and 1 health. Hopefully he survives the next turn and then he'll charge in, drag something down and deal damage to the enemy, so he's a really, really good card. Another 1 cost with 0 attack, 4 health, not fortitude, and has taunt. So one thing you might notice is there are very powerful 1-cost cards. Spell damage. Whenever you cast a spell that does damage, so that would be one of these. Unfortunately it doesn't show spell at the bottom of the card, so it's a bit more, I guess, tricky. Deal 3 damage, so if I had a Kobold on the field and I cast Frostbolt, it would now be doing 4 damage. The spell has to deal damage. I can't cast a spell like Arcane Intellect, which just draws cards and expect it to do damage. So yeah, Polymorph, transform an enemy into a 1/1 sheep. Oh, this is pretty explanatory. Silence, your opponent loses all effects on that creature. So this guy will come out, when he hits the field, I'll silence someone, hopefully someone with a crazy effect. It does remove taunt, so if I wanted to get past the Shieldmaster, normally if I attacked the Shieldmaster, he would deal 3 damage to Spellbreaker and kill it, but I could silence it. I couldn't attack that turn actually, but then my other creatures could get past the Shieldmaster without actually fighting it. So I think that's basically... Oh, secrets! There's no real way to make that bigger unless I put it in my deck. Secrets, you play them and you will put a question mark on your character, and basically they activate based on what your opponent does. So this one is when an enemy casts a spell on a minion, summon a 1/3 target as the new target. So if they cast like a fireball on a minion, which does like 6 damage and would kill my water elemental, if I had this card in play as a secret little question mark, it would activate and it would summon a new target which would get destroyed and my water elemental would be fine. You run into secrets sort of later in the game. At the start of the game you don't really need to worry about secrets, but that's what a secret does in case someone uses one on you. So you do get to make your own deck out of 30 cards, which might seem a bit daunting, but they've put a really cool feature in. I'm just going to destroy my Druid deck, just get rid of a bunch of cards. So you see my cards are going down. Now, what the cool feature is it's got a suggest a card. So if you don't know what you're doing, you click suggest a card, and it'll suggest one of 3 cards. And you can decide which one you like the most. So these are all spells. There's 1 cost spell, gives a hero attack. So if my hero's got attack, it can actually attack things. Normally your hero has 0 attack and can't attack things. Armor is basically extra life points. So you start with 30 life points, and you can't normally heal above that, but you can armor above it. So if I had 30 life and gained 2 armor, then I would essentially have 32 life. This spell or characters gain +2 to attack this turn, and this spell does 5 damage and draw a card. So that's fantastic. So I'll pick that, and then it shows more cards. So I'll pick another Starfall. Really wants me to have these druid specific cards, so you know, I'll pick one. And yeah, you can just make your entire deck pretty quickly. You want a lot of cheap mana creatures, like some 1s, not too many 1s, but then some 2s and 3s. You just don't want to put everything on, like 7s or 8s, or you'll just get destroyed before you play anything, which can be really frustrating. So yeah, just pick whatever. This is not a good druid deck, do not copy it, it's just showing the sort of mechanic. So yeah, it tends to give you, yeah, if you've got like a lot of 7s and 6s, it will give you lower costs. If you have lots of small creatures, it tends to give you big stuff. So it won't make you the best deck in the world, but it'll make you a deck that works. So you can't complain about that. So that's a really cool feature, because once you start, okay, there's a little conversation piece there. Yeah, once you start the game, it's pretty overwhelming at the start, but you pretty quickly figure out what everything does. I just grab. I love Lord of the Arena. It's taunt 6 attack. It's just fantastic. So that is basically how the deck building process works. You can hover over your character to see what your mana costs are. So that's a okay mana curve, I guess. You generally want them to look like steps that are going, you know, from 1 being like the tallest step and 7 being the smallest step. So they should naturally go down, unless you're trying something awesome. So in other videos I've shown you how to open booster packs. Basically what you do is you go to the shop. You can buy packs with gold. I don't have enough gold, I only have 80 gold. You get gold by winning matches. You buy an arena pack, or you can spend real life money to buy a lot of cards. Yeah. So it would make you think that it's sort of pay to win game. Well, no. The game is free, and you don't have to spend anything on it. You can just do your challenges, get your gold, and get boosters. If that frustrates you too much, you can just spend a few dollars and get a few more packs. I'm thinking I might do that soon, because I do like the game, and I would have paid money for this game anyway, so at least I got to try it before buying. So I don't know, I might only get like 2 packs or so. It gives you a limited edition card if you buy at least something, anything, doesn't matter how small it is. It's an interesting card. Otherwise you can go up to this many cards, but I don't know if I'll be going that crazy. So you can earn money each day by fulfilling challenges. So down here at the bottom, if I win 2 in a row with a hunter, I'll get 40 gold. So I might try to do that. So I can just go click play. And I'll pick whichever character I want. So I had to win with a hunter, so I'll click that. You can either click a ranked or casual. Since I don't have a heck of a lot of cards, I'm not going to pick ranked. I'm going to go casual. So you can lose as much as you want in casual, and it won't record it. Ranked, obviously, you can go up or down. Makes the game a bit more intense. I haven't played ranked yet, but I know from other games the ranked ladder gets pretty intense, and if you lose a rank, you can get quite alright with yourself. So it's taken a little while to find someone, but hopefully I find someone. That generally means I'm close to finding someone if it starts lagging. There we go.
Rexar versus Uther. I will fight with honor. Let the hunt begin.
Okay. So I got some spells. This is my opening hand. I can choose to basically shuffle these cards back in and draw an equal number of cards. I can pick just 2 cards. You don't have to do your entire hand. Since these cards won't help me at the start, I'm going to do that. Yep. Still not really good. I don't want that at the start. So down in this right hand corner I have how much mana I've got for the turn, which I've only got 1, so I can't do anything this turn. Can't even use my hero power. See, I got 30 health, he's got 30 health. We both have different hero powers. His gives him a 1/1 minion, and mine does 2 damage to him. So I'm going to end my turn. I can't play anything. You can right click on your character and say things to your enemy. They're all relatively polite, so I'll just say hello to him. So yeah, he's now got a minion with taunt, so I'll have to attack that when I get a minion.
Well met.
And yeah. Okay, so it does highlight the cards you can play in green. So, you know, I can either play Unleash the Hounds or my Swamp Ooze, or I can use my hero power. I'm going to play the Swamp Ooze because it's got 2 health. He can't actually kill it in his turn. And hopefully I'll be able to put some pressure on him with, yeah, my Swamp Ooze. He may have a spell or something that does some damage to my Swamp Ooze and gets rid of it. Or something like that, so that's got a battle cry, so it's when it's played. Okay. If you go second in this game, sorry it's a bit quick, that coin card gives you 1 extra mana for 1 turn. So going second, you get an extra card and you get that little coin which will drop your mana cost. So that's pretty cool. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to play my spell Unleash the Hounds. So for each enemy minion I get a 1/1 hound with charge. So that buffs them. I could attack him directly, but I don't want him to have creatures. Now notice how I have these little Z's on my wolf. That means I played it this turn, so it can't attack, and because it doesn't have charge, I guess it's sleeping. So my mana crystals are slowly going up as each turn happens. So he's got 3, because it's his 3rd turn. Sword of Justice, so that is a weapon. Now a weapon has 2 values. It's got its attack value, so look, he's attacking me. He does take damage because it's treated as a normal fight. And then it's got durability. When it runs out of durability, it breaks. So whenever he summons a minion, he gives it +1/+1, and the sword loses its durability. So he can either attack with it or use it as a sort of buff. I am going to summon my Shield Master. So it's got taunt, so even with a weapon, if he wants to attack, he's got to attack my Shield Master, which is going to wind up doing a lot of damage. Whoop, turn didn't actually end there. So yeah, so his hero has 1 attack and 29 health. A piece of advice, I tend not to use the Core Hound outside of my Hunter deck. I use it in a Hunter deck because it is a beast, and Hunters love buffing beasts. See, look, there's a little spell animation, makes it pretty obvious that this is a spell. So they're 3 costs, so next turn I'll be able to do a couple of things. I'll be able to show you what a random beast companion looks like. Okay, so battle cry, so it draws a card when it's played, and he's going to buff it with his sword. Alright, Divine Shield is what's happened. That's that golden egg. Means when it takes damage next, it loses the shield, but it cancels all damage. So even if I attack it with my Shield Master, it's going to take no damage. So that's pretty annoying. I'm going to just go ahead and summon my Animal Companion. So I get a random 1. Just so happens I randomed a pretty good one. So I still have 2 mana left. I am going to do an attack. There's no like attack phase or anything. You just attack with your creatures. your ones that can attack are highlighted in green for your convenience. So I did 3 damage, I lost 2 health, so that damage is going to be permanent because I don't think I have any healing spells. And then I'm going to use my character ability and deal some damage to my enemy. So he took 2 damage. Yeah. Things are doing pretty well. You can tell that these creatures have taunt without hovering over them because they've got big shields around them. So both my creatures have taunt. Whereas if they don't have taunt, then they're that oval shape. So a spell does 2 damage to all enemies, including me. So I'm going to lose 2 life. So that's a pretty good play by him. See, I burst the shield. What to do? I just summon a Grizzly, which again has taunt. I got a lot of taunt. I just steady shot him, I guess. So if you're versing a hunter and you don't have a lot of heal, be very careful because they can just steady shot you every turn, and because it doesn't use a card. Okay, so he's using a spell to just destroy my bear completely. And he's going to play some taunt of his own. Luckily, I have a spell that can deal with that. Deals, well, I'll show you, deals 3 damage to 2 random enemy minions. So he's 3 health, 2 health, so I'll drop that. It's not very random when there's only 2 of them. And I'll summon another random companion. Hopefully it is someone that you haven't seen. So I got Huffer. He's got charge, which means you can attack when he's played. So 4 damage for free. And my turn. So yeah, Huffer's pretty good. So all the random creatures you can summon from that effect are all really, really good. There's no bad ones, but sometimes there's situations where you would prefer, you know, a different one. So this is annoying. So he's got a Cult Master whenever one of his other minions dies, so not this card, he draws a card. And he's got a taunt there, so I can't actually get to this until I get through that. So he's going to get at least 1 card draw out of this. So I'm going to use this Battle Cry, which is give a friendly beast +2/+2. Huffer is a beast. So I'm going to buff Huffer. So now he's a 6/4 and it gives him taunt. So he's a lot more difficult to deal with. Now, do I just shoot him or do I play a Grizzly? I'm running out of cards, so I'm thinking I just shoot him. Pew! Because mana's not really an issue. Shooting animation, there we go. And I'll attack through this. Yeah, he gets a card draw, but I gotta deal with it. So yeah, each turn just getting another total mana crystal, which caps out at 10. So that'll fill out the little bar. So my choices, I got a Corehound for 7, which I can play. Corehound doesn't have a lot of health, but can do huge amounts of damage. It doesn't have charge or anything, so you only play it when you're reasonably sure you can get a couple of swings at your enemy. For Grizzly, another Taunt. I really like Taunt, by the way. Taunt stops his creatures from attacking me directly, and vice versa. Great. Oh, another thing, you're only allowed 2 of each card in a deck, so now I know he's used both of his consecrations. I'm not going to get hit by another one of those. Unfortunately, he breaks through my defenses. Ouch. This card is just giving him huge amounts of card draw. So I think I'm going to have to use my kill command. Does 3 damage, or does 5 if I got a beast. Well, I don't need to have a beast, because that thing's only got 2 health. So I'm going to play the spell and knock that off, so he just doesn't get huge amounts of cards. Did get him a fair amount of cards. So I play my Grizzly so I don't get attacked directly. And I've got some mana left over, so I'll use my hero power. Don't forget your hero power. You don't have to use it excessively, like if you've already got a play set up, don't hold back 2 mana to just use your hero power, but if you can use it, use it. So that's annoying. His minions get +1/+1, so he's going to start rushing me. And it looks like I may not win this. So if I play this, he can just attack, and he'll lose 2 minions while I'll lose my Corehound for next to nothing. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like I can do anything about it, because otherwise he's going to attack me directly for 11. So I'll summon my Core Hound, take out a couple of minions that doesn't really hurt him much, and use my hero power to do 2 damage to him. So yeah, he doesn't have to attack my Core Hound. He can ignore it completely and just attack me, but if he doesn't destroy my Core Hound, then next turn, 9 damage right on him. So let's see what he does. I would assume you would attack with your 2 weak creatures to take down the Core Hound. So you can effectively stop your opponent doing much with creatures if you just have more creatures and you keep killing their creatures as soon as they hit the field. Yeah, your opponent won't be able to do much with creatures. Or you can use spells to just knock down the enemy creatures, so that's called board position, basically, or board control. So he obviously has board control, because whenever I play a creature, I can't attack with it unless it's got charge. So yeah, I'm just going to play the cards from my hand, because I only have 11 health. I've got the full mana, but I'm not actually going to be able to spend all that mana. So I'm going to play the Timberwolves first, and then I'm going to give it +3/+3 and taunt with this guy. So that's all I can do. I got 3 mana left. So depending on how your deck is built, this will either happen a lot or not at all. If you're a late game deck with heaps of expensive creatures, then fine. But my deck's sort of early game and I still got hit down to 11, so even if you're a late game deck with heaps of big creatures, you need little creatures, otherwise you're going to lose before you play anything. Loki's just going to ignore, so he won. So yeah, that's basically how the game is played. Hopefully you win, but you know, with a bit of taunt, can't go too wrong. I'll play a game with a mage just to show you a different character. So she's got Fire Blast, 2 mana to deal 1 damage to anything. So it might seem a bit less good than Hunter's, but Hunter has to target the enemy hero. Mage can target enemy minions or her own minions if you're feeling particularly crazy. There are times when you'd want to do that. Certain creatures have Berserk. Whenever they take damage, they get like extra abilities. So that's a new card type. It will say pretty obviously on the card, when this card loses life, it gains an effect. So she can actually just shoot a firebolt to do 1 damage to her creatures to just set them off to go crazy, so you don't rely on your enemy. Oh, the other thing I didn't really show you is you don't actually need to remember a lot of these keywords, because when we're in game I will show you. You can actually hover over the cards and it will tell you what those keywords do.
You asked for it.
So I'm going first. These are sort of... So it means the earliest I can play this is turn 4. I want to use it on something big, so I don't want that. And the earliest I can play this guy is turn 6, so I don't want that. Turn 1 is perfect. I'll shuffle those 2 back in. Yet... yeah, okay. So what I was talking about is you hover over it. So this guy's got taunt. I don't know what taunt does. So hover over it and you get a little grey box. Enemy minions must attack this minion. Whereas this guy's got silence and battle cry. So I hover over him. Battle cry does something when you play it from your hand, and silence removes all card text and enchantments. So you don't even need to really know what all the stuff does before you start playing, because the game tells you, which is another really cool thing. And see, so I just hover over him. Death Rattle does something when it dies. So, I don't know what the best play here is. Just to save on cards, I might just launch a Fire Blast at this gnome. So, it'll do its damage to me. This guy can't attack because he's got 0 attack. And yeah, having more cards than your opponent is obviously a really good thing. Unless they have like everything on the board. So that's that second player card again. Gives him an extra mana crystal. Okay, so he can't attack because he just summoned those that turn. Now what to do? Play my leopard gnome, or I can rely on a bit of luck. So I'm going to Fire Blast this. Okay. Sometimes the animations stall a little bit. Arcane Missile deals 3 damage to random enemy characters. So I'm going to play that. Let's see what happens. Okay. So it could have hit the hero, but it chose not to. I'm fine with either way. Like, you know, if it hits the hero for a bunch, then that's fine. It hits the hero, dropping him down. If it doesn't hit the hero, then gets rid of his creatures. So this one's got an annoying death rattle. Summons another creature when it dies. That creature, unfortunately, doesn't have death rattle, but the original does. Do I want to try my luck again? Yeah, let's try my luck again. Arcane Missiles, see where they go. That dropped him down to 1, so I can actually use a Fireball to finish it off. See, Fireball's just such a handy spell. And we'll turn into a smaller golem. I'll summon my little gnome. Now my turn. So his character ability gives his character 1 attack and 1 armor, so he can actually attack creatures. He will take the damage though, so if he... I don't know, if I had a creature with like 6 attack, and he attacked it, he would deal 1 damage to it, and it would deal 6 damage to him, so it's a bit risky. Whereas with minions, you can use like a... Even if they had a creature with like 20 attack, but just 2 health, I could use my Leper Gnome to attack it. It would do 20 damage to my Leper Gnome, which is fine, because he's only got 1 health, and it will deal 2 damage to that big creature and kill it. So there's pros and cons. Obviously it's pretty safe for him to use Shapeshift and attack my 0 attack creature, because he will take no damage. Okay, so characters get +2 attack this turn. It does include him. So he just wants some board position, basically. So he's killing all my creatures, so I can't attack him. Now this is going to be a really weak turn, because I've only got 5 mana. I can summon my Spellbreaker to do a silence, but silences are very valuable, and that doesn't have an effect, so they'll just be wasting it. Turning it into a 1/1 cheap, again, wasting it, and I can't play the others, so I'm just going to Fireball this. And I guess I'm going to end my turn wasting 3 mana, but that's fine. Whoop. Sorry, camera. Yeah, that's fine. You don't have to use all your mana. Sometimes it's better just to keep cards in your hand so you can react to your opponent. But at other times it's worthwhile just throwing down a creature, even if it just gets instantly killed by a card effect. You at least got that card out of the hand, like... Okay. So I'm going to play the Lord of the Arena. So he's not going to be able to attack me now unless he gets through that, so he's not going to. If he shapeshifts to deal 1 damage to this and takes 6 damage on himself, I'm fine with that. Looks like he has a spell. Swipe, 4 damage to it. Is he going to charge it still? I'm fine with that. Take 6 damage. Okay, I'm fine with that. Gosh, I don't have enough creatures. Fireball. I use this spell, which gives me 2 minions with Taunt. So, if he wants to just attack me, he's not going to be able to. And I guess I'm going to burn a Frostbolt. Oops, nearly misclicked. On him, which freezes him. Freezing means whatever is frozen can't attack next turn. Probably should have mentioned that before. But now if he uses his Shapeshift, he won't be able to attack with himself this turn. It will go away at the end of next turn, and maybe I shouldn't have used it on him, but I didn't want to just continuously not use all my mana. So here's my secret. I'm going to play it just to show you what it does. So you play it on yourself. I get a little question mark. So what this one does is if I get attacked directly, I gain 8 armor, which is like 8 health. My opponent has no idea what this secret is. He just sees the question mark. So what do I want to do? I'm going to waste my Spellbreaker and silence this so it loses all of the effects that are on it. So yeah, it's got a big cross over its text, so it can't do anything. Now, it's a little bit of a waste, but I still have a Polymorph, so if he plays anything too dangerous. And I've got a Flame Strike, so I can get through a whole bunch of creatures. And it's basically just to get me a creature. because otherwise I just have nothing on my board, my side of the board, so he could just do anything with impunity. Okay. So he's gonna shapeshift into a big thing. So he's got 3 attack. He loves taking hits directly because he's got some armor. His power gives him the armor. Otherwise he'd be getting hurt way worse. So I got a choice. Do I flame strike and just destroy all of his stuff, or do I try to draw? 4, 7. I'll take 7 damage. I might wait for him to play more creatures before I flame strike. Alright, so I got a good taunt, and I got some freeze. So I'll probably just play my taunt and shoot a fireball at my opponent. So it's far more versatile than the Hunter's one, but if you're just hitting your opponent with it, Hunter's one is obviously better. Druid's power, yeah, gives you an armor, which is great. Attacking an enemy creature isn't necessarily super good, so you just use a spell to clear my minion. Damn. He did play... yep, so it reveals my spell. I get 8 armor. So I'm not actually going to lose any life from this, just going to lose some armor. Alright, let's not be greedy. I think I'll flame strike here. So that'll burn away all of his minions. And I guess I'll save my more potent spells and just launch another fireball at him. Shame I didn't have a creature to just play there and get board position. But, you know, you can't always have it your way. I got rid of a bunch of his cards and brought myself back in the game. So yeah, I shouldn't be too fussed either way. You can just mess around with these things on the side. This has no impact in the game, but I can load up a catapult and shoot it. So just if your opponent's taking a long time, you just reload your catapult and fire it at him. Just pretend like you're doing heaps of damage. So he got a huge creature out, so that's really annoying. I can deal with it. I got 2 choices to deal with it actually. Summon my Cobalt Geomancer. This is another really cool thing, so I'll summon him regardless of if it's the best play. So he makes spells do extra damage. What spells does he affect, you might wonder? Hover over him, and look, the spells he affects are all shiny. That's a really cool little feature. It makes it so much easier to know which spells do what. I might Frostbolt him. I could just turn him into a sheep. Frostbolt for 4, and then I can just spell him to death. So he'll be frozen, so he won't be able to attack me next turn. And I guess I'll shoot a fireball at him. Yeah, I'll save these spells in case he plays another one. Now, because we both have 10 mana, we can just play big creature after big creature, so it's not just like, whoa, he's got one big creature, I gotta deal with this. Like, no, he can probably play a lot of big creatures, like, in a row. Depending on how he's built his deck. See, there's another big one, and he's far more annoying. Fortunately, I lost my spell damage. It's smart of him to get rid of my spell damage. But you're now a sheep. Alright, so I can deal with it next turn. I'm going to take a 6 damage hit, which isn't ideal. But, you know, if I played Lord of the Arena would have just instantly died to this, and yeah. Doing 6 damage to a 2 health, I think he was on, it's just not ideal. I want this guy to be stuck into some meaty targets, because he's a taunt creature. So, okay, I'm going to take a bit more damage than I thought. Yep, I'm going to take a lot more damage than I thought. So yeah, I'm not necessarily the best player of this game. Just tell you that now, but okay, I can actually do something here. I'll fireball this guy, killing him off when the animation happens. So that drops every... Why didn't he get dropped down to 1? Okay, that was a bit of a misplay. I guess I'm gonna have to play my Lord of the Arena. Alright, maybe he was on 3 before, but because that guy buffed him up, I reasoned that he would get dropped down to 1 health, so I could have fireballed him. That's why I did what I did. Okay, well, turns out I took a big ogre hit for no reason. Anything else? Not really. You can see how many cards are left in your deck. If you run out of cards in your deck, you'll take a cumulative damage. So, first time you draw and you can't get a card, that's 1 damage. Second time you draw and can't get a card, that's a card that gives you 2 damage, so that'll be a total of 3. Then next time you can't draw a card, you get a 3 damage, and so that's, in total, you'll take 6 damage if you can't draw 3 times. So the game wraps up pretty quick after you can't draw cards, but you don't insta-lose. So I've just lost because I got no taunt, and so he's just gonna beat me to death. And yeah, that's the end of my tutorial, basically. Hopefully you play better than I played. Yes, there's not a lot I could have done. I probably made a bunch of misplays, but that's what's cool about watching these videos, and you learn by practicing. This is my 5th day, and there's so much more for me to learn. Oh, your characters level up, that gives you extra cards for that specific character. So I've got a few people that aren't even level 10, so they'll get a bunch of extra cards. You can look them up or whatever, or just keep playing with that character to unlock all their cards. Once you get past level 10, you just get like super rare versions of those cards, which just look really cool. So yeah, you've got 9 characters. Chances are one of them will suit your playstyle. And you can click on ranked if you want to try climb the ranks. I'm not going to do that till I got more cards. But yeah, I hope you give Hearthstone a try. It is free. I really enjoy it, and it's one of the more fun card games on computer I played. Put a little disclaimer, I don't think it would really work on tabletop, but it definitely embraces the fact it is a computer game. So those random elements, there's a card which like copies a card in your opponent's deck. Your opponent keeps that card, it's not like you're stealing it. So in real life card games, you would actually need to have copies of like every card in existence to use that spell. On the computer, it doesn't matter. So that works really, really well. Other things, there's a limit of 7 minions on your field at once. We didn't get anywhere close to that, but there is a limit. So if you're playing a sort of rush with a bunch of minions, be aware of that. You are limited at 7, and it's not always that easy to get rid of your own minions. You can always just attack them into the enemy minions, but then you're not really tearing down your opponent as quick as you can, and then it'll get to late game where they've got 10 mana and they'll just destroy you. Yeah, don't know if I pointed out the quest log, so I'll just go through that real quick. So it's just a way to get free gold. I think I did, but you get a quest each day. You can stack up to 3 quests, so if you only play once every 3 days, then you'll get your 3 quests. Yeah, it shows you your best arena run, total arena wins. So, yeah, I obviously haven't played ranked yet, but I've won 18 times. And yeah, you open your packs here. I don't have any spare packs to open. Yeah, great game, really. It's free to play. You can play it completely for free. The other thing, is it pay to win? Not necessarily. Most of the best cards are common, and you unlock them just by leveling up your character. I'll just use this little crafting mode thing. I'll explain the crafting mode as well. So, there's no trading system in this game. You can, however, craft creatures. You can destroy your triples of cards, I think, once you get to triples, because you're going to have 2 cards in the deck. You can destroy your triples to get, I don't know what the currency is called. This powder, basically. And so it costs 100 powder it costs 400 powder to make this card, and if I owned one, I could get 100 powder for destroying it. So, if you're really looking for a card, you don't have to open hundreds and hundreds of packs just to get that one super rare card. You can just gather up a bunch of cards. I'm clicking really fast, so this is lagging. Yeah, just basically destroy a bunch of cards. Like if you wanted a Molten Giant, I'd have to destroy 400 dust worth of cards. I got 50 dust. So, yeah, some of the cards get really expensive, like these legendaries, which are really hard to find, but if you really want them, you can just churn out 1,600 dust and just get it. So, yeah. Other cool things, so this lets you draw dream cards, which are random cards that you can't otherwise get in the game. Card game, that would be pretty, like on the tabletop, that would be pretty annoying, but computerized, it works really well. So this is the sort of dust system. You can see how many cards I don't have, they're all grayed out. So there are a bunch of cards in this game. And these aren't character specific cards either. So I can go to mage specific and try build cards. I don't know if I would recommend spending a bunch of dust on commons. Eventually you will just pull commons. You see it costs 40 to make it, but I only get 5 back if I destroy it. So, you know, you might as well just try pull your commons unless you really, really want them. So yeah, I got a decent amount of cards. It highlights them in blue if you can craft them. So yeah, it's not necessarily a lot of that I want to craft. Now if you don't want to collect the cards or anything like that, you just want to play a game on an even battlefield, that's what the arena is for. The arena is random draft, so you just get given a bunch of random cards. You pick which ones. Like it will come up like the suggested card menu where there's the 3 creatures. I'm not going to click on it now because it costs gold or real life money, and I don't have any to spare. But yeah, you just make your choice out of 3 cards, keep doing that till you got a 30 card deck. It can be any card in the game, so you can get super duper rares. You don't get to keep them, which kind of sucks, but I can understand why. Like that amount of cards, it would make the arena cost like $600 or something, and then yeah, it just wouldn't work. But yeah, arena's good fun, so if you don't worry about deck building, you can just play in the arena, get given random cards, and yeah, see how good you actually are. This is my tutorial. If you got any more questions, please ask me, and thank you for watching. Bye!